Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Perfect World based on novel. So let's start. Sounds of weeping could be heard all throughout City of Heaven. Their Tao protector died, body and spirit broken apart, not even a reincarnated true immortal able to rescue him. There were just too many scars left on his primordial spirit over the passage of time, and after being seriously injured recently, he now completely died. The flesh of a cultivator could be repaired, or even stolen, exchanged for a new body, but the primordial spirit couldn't be changed. It would inevitably slowly decay over the years. Celestial Clan's Tao protector had already reached the end of his life to begin with, not having much life left. Last time, he was seriously injured outside immortal ancient remains, so he didn't have long left to live at all. This time, Celestial Clan's Tao protector forcefully carried out divinations, trying to deduce everything about Shahao, ultimately triggering Heaven's punishment, causing him to fall. All of City of Heaven was gloomy, howls of grief and anguished wailing everywhere. Many people were crying, weeping over the death of the Tao protector. The effects of this were too great. Shahao hated that elder greatly, but for the Celestial Clan, this was a powerful protector, so how could they not feel down? Shahao left, bringing Hualinga away from City of Heaven. It was because he knew that he couldn't break his way in, so he might as well leave rather than stay here to prevent unexpected things from happening. However, the effects of this were too great, not calming down after his disappearance. A crisis was slowly brewing, shaking up all directions. Did you guys hear? Huang visited City of Heaven, demanding an explanation. He killed 2 heavenly deities in a row, and then even tormented their Tao protector to death. Is this real? It sounds too absurd. Celestial Clan's Tao protector was a great figure in the past, incredibly powerful. He died just like that. This truly was a major event that shocked everyone stupid, all of them feeling that this was inconceivable. Even if an emperor clan of the past declined, it shouldn't have fallen to this extent, right? A single youth plugged up City of Heaven, issuing his challenge, moreover achieving this much battle results. Isn't that just some rumor? No matter how strong Huang is, he still wouldn't dare provoke a previous emperor clan, right? Why isn't it possible? Huang and the Celestial Clan have a great grudge between them, this time acting decisively and powerfully. He brought a woman with him, plugging up the entrance, suffocating Celestial Clan, until they didn't dare display anger. News spread, all sides in uproar, as if a hurricane swept through this place, the effects incomparably far-reaching and long-lasting. Huang has achieved so much, yet only 20 years old. He already has such methods and strength, in the future, not many people can keep him in check. Wu, a youngster like this is worth getting close to. I heard that a few great sects are moving together to try and rope him in, for example, their most brilliant pearls might be married off by the clan. I heard about this too, for example, heaven-mending sects most pure and holy, never to marry holy lady seems to have some close relationship with Huang. Many people were discussing this, bubbling with noise. However, Shahao didn't pay this much attention, traveling with Hualinga to a few mountains and valleys. This wasn't purely sightseeing, but also a type of Tao comprehension. The places they went to all had great historical significance, like the cold pool that a true dragon was suspected to have resided in. The mountain ridge of Phoenix had lived in seclusion. Shahao was in the holy sacrifice realm, not entering the heavenly deity realm, because his cultivation wasn't that stable. Traveling through these well-known ancient lands was beneficial for him. Holy sacrifice wasn't something bitter cultivation could pass through. One needed a calmness of the heart, a sublimation of the spirit, great willpower, and others. The endless world of mortals, this was the heart tempering of holy sacrifice. For the greater half of a month, Shahao and Hualinga walked through the mountains and rivers, and then entered a few well-known enormous cities to experience worldly affairs. Only a month later did they finish this type of journey. It was because unknowingly when they had returned to Xin province. During this period of time, they continuously used transport formations to travel from one place to another, visiting many historical sites and scenic spots, to the extent where they even took a trip around underworld Earth, watching the black haze rise, death energy overflow into the heavens. Sin province, these two stopped. Let's go pay Fire Emperor a visit, Shahao said. He wished to see Hualinga's father. That middle-aged man had previously helped him in the lower realm. Now, he and Hualinga were walking together, their relationship intimate, so there was even a greater need to visit him. Why are you suddenly thinking about this now? Hualinga asked. Visiting the respected wife's father is naturally something I need to do. I want to marry his daughter sooner. Shahao laughed. Hualinga blushed with embarrassment, directly giving him a punch. Fire Emperor was extremely unordinary. Regardless of whether it was boldness or cultivation, both were great and extraordinary. Spiritual mountains stretched across, multicolored clouds curling about, ancient trees luxuriant, spiritual medicines plentiful. As soon as they saw this, approaching this place, an enormous vicious beast roared, quickly throwing itself over. It was like a little mountain as it stepped on the void, its aura ferocious. What does this fella eat every day? Why did it end up so big? Shahao was stupefied. That was an enormous wolf, the fur covering its entire body sleek, shining like satin. There was a pair of wings on its back, large like a mountain peak as it descended from above. It was precisely the little wolf. After not meeting for a few years, it had already grown into a huge beast. Linga. This enormous wolf descended, quickly shrinking until it was a foot in size. It then rushed over to the two of them, and then looked towards Shahao. You came back from Immortal Ancient. Little Wolf looked at Shahao, feeling joy and excitement. Shahao laughed, lifting it up in one go. This little fella was quite attached to him back then. Even when Hualinga fed it spiritual medicines, it still always jumped into Shahao's embrace, angering Hualinga, until she called it a thankless wretch. Ayo, why are you so heavy? How much meat do you eat every day? About to crush me under you. Shahao teased, rubbing its head. No way. My figure is wonderful. Little Wolf widened its large eyes, correcting fiercely. Female. Shahao laughed. Go die, I'm not going to be nice to you anymore. Little Wolf was furious, struggling free, and directly jumping into Hualinga's arms, ignoring him. Where is my father? Hualinga asked. Went on a trip again, I don't know when he'll return. Little Wolf replied. Fire Emperor was a carefree person, often traveling around to comprehend the truth of heaven and earth, cultivating his own Tao. However, he was quite considerate of his own danger as well. Back then, it was precisely him who headed for the Fire Mulberry Forest, bringing Hualinga and Little Wolf with him to this place. However, Hualinga feared that Shahao wouldn't be able to find her when he came back, so she changed her appearance and wandered about that area again, turning into a mulberry leaf picker. Sigh, what a pity, missed the Fire Emperor again. Shahao said with a sigh. You'll see him in the future. Hualinga laughed. I originally wanted to discuss a bit with the old man about when I'll escort the bride. Turns out he's not here. Shahao said with a smile. What are you randomly spouting? Hualinga's face became red. Little Wolf even more so widened its eyes, rolling around and saying, You are going to do something bad. Shahao immediately gave it a knuckle, saying, When adults are speaking, why is a little wolf like you trying to join? Who said I was little? Little Wolf was upset, immediately turning into its original body. With a honglong sound, it turned into an enormous mountain, crushing Shahao below. If it was a normal person, they definitely wouldn't be able to handle it, but Shahao produced an enormous golden light hand, immediately supporting it. I want to go out with you too as well. When it was subdued, Little Wolf cried out. Guarding this place was extremely dry and dull, it wanted to leave a long time ago. Just like that, two people and one wolf went on their way again, traveling through the great provinces. At this time, they heard quite a few rumors, feeling shocked. The higher realms were no longer peaceful. There are ancient worlds beyond the 3,000 provinces, the 9 heavens and 10 earths have formed a great alliance. Things truly are unfolding on a magnificent scale. Is Shahao going to go? The 9 heavens 10 earths heroes are all gathering, unexpectedly going to construct a holy academy, immortal academy, heavenly deity institution, and other things, really is shocking. Shahao and Hualinga were both startled. He hadn't had time to understand the details of the outside world after leaving Immortal Ancient, while Hualinga resided in the Fire Mulberry Tree Forest the entire time, not paying too much attention to these things. They unexpectedly learned that the selection of the heroic geniuses had already begun, the qualifications rumored to be extremely strict. This was especially the case when there were foreign young experts serving as gatekeepers, defeating who knew how many people, stopping who knew how many geniuses of the higher realms. Heavenly deities that cultivated immortal energy. Sweeping everything before them, forcing back the heavenly deities of the 3,000 provinces, the foreign guests really are powerful to a ridiculous level, to the point of leaving everyone speechless. Even though Shahao had heard a bit, he didn't deliberately seek out news. He became a bit interested now. There were people who descended into the 3,000 provinces from beyond. What kind of people were they? Just how strong were they? Really want to take a look to see how formidable they are. He didn't fear a challenge. Didn't you hear? The foreign heroic talents wish to fight you, exiled immortal, and 10-crown king, impossible to dissuade. Hualinga said. During this period of time, the foreign guests were unstoppable, defeating who knew how many experts. They were practically all defeated in under 3 moves. The 3,000 provinces could not calm down recently, the cultivators who came out from their training in Immortal Ancient all unable to lift their heads, because all of them were defeated under the foreign guests' hands. The 9 heavens 10 earths were now forming an alliance, wishing to nurture true supreme being heroic talents, searching everywhere. The final heavenly deity institution might not even be built in the higher realms. Hualinga was worried, because this might mean that they had to separate. It would be too difficult for her to enter this so-called Heavenly Deity Academy, because those extremely powerful talents all failed, unable to pass the trial. It was rumored that until now, not a single person succeeded, not being selected. We've been too isolated recently, should find some place to understand more details. Shahao said. The 3,000 provinces were extremely large, with great amounts of cultivators. Normally, there were all types of exchanged meetings and other things. Shahao scouted about, finding out that there was a distinguished meeting that was precisely going to take place in Green Province, rumored to be a gathering of the outstanding talents of different clans. Invitations were sent out to quite a few great provinces. It was rumored that they all wished to enter the Heavenly Deity Institution, take on the trial, and then head into the world beyond, wishing to become stronger. They all had the same goal, because the discussions would all be on this topic. Then, Shahao learned that the foreign guests, while defeating opponents everywhere, this time, they unexpectedly made their way to Green Province, moreover coming here in an extremely serious manner. Shahao arrived uninvited, entering an enormous city. He was going to see what exactly was going on. It was rumored that many powerful cultivators were preparing, wishing to be selected and thus rise up, entering the so-called Heavenly Deity Institution. Green City, a place with wide stone-paved streets and pedestrians bustling with activity, a place rich with worldly affairs. Candied fruit skewers, large and sweet. Flood dragon meat buns, the bun thin filling great, sweet juices rich and tasty. They heard shouts from peddlers as soon as they entered. It was extremely lively with many people, the pedestrians moving in an unending flow. The candied fruit skewers were indeed quite red, but that wasn't a normal type of fruit, but rather one created from strung-up rare spiritual medicines. As for the flood dragon meat bun, that was definitely not a store an ordinary person could set up. The flood dragon was a vicious beast, few people dared to hunt them year-round. From a certain perspective, this spoke of how unordinary Green City was. Even though it was full of worldly affairs, there were quite a few experts, many cultivators here, some of them precisely refining their mind in mortal society. Today, the city was rather restless, many experts arriving, all of them discussing how vast the 9 heavens and 10 earths were, what it was like inside the ancient lands beyond the 3,000 provinces. There were people from outside this place, for the 3,000 provinces sects, this left them with quite the shock. If not for the foreign guests sweeping through the 3,000 provinces heavenly deities, they really wouldn't have believed what they said, let alone believing the 9 heavens, 10 earths existence. The 3,000 provinces could not calm down now. Forget about many exceptional talents, even a few older generation figures wished to cross the void and visit the world beyond, understand the truth. However, leaving the 3,000 provinces, forget about ascending to the 9 heavens, just traveling to the other 9 lands in the 10 earths was extremely difficult. It was because the ancient transport formation was damaged, requiring a large amount of heavenly materials to start up, the price to do so too great. Moreover, even if they could bring out the heavenly treasures, those ancient lands might not necessarily acknowledge the 3,000 provinces, strictly investigating those who crossed over. Sigh, even our 3,000 provinces can only be considered one of the 10 earths, then what kind of ancient worlds are those 9 heavens? Someone said with a sigh. Shahao and the others entered the city, hearing many voices of discussion. He couldn't help but raise his head. This city was unordinary after all, a city of cultivators with few mortals. At the center of the enormous city, there was a scorched black stone mountain. It was extremely large and tall, imposing and majestic. Even though it was already broken, only a small part remaining, it was still incredibly massive, its aura imposing. This mountain was a landmark of Green Province, its origins extremely unordinary. This was originally a mountain deity that exceeded sect masters. Rumor has it that it wished to cross tribulation and produce immortal light, but a streak of lightning hacked out its original body, destroying its primordial spirit, only leaving behind a piece of its mountain body. Shahao and Hualinga heard people discussing this as soon as they approached. In reality, since this was an important place in Green Province, there were many cultivators that were attracted to this famous location. This was especially the case for those outside this province who were passing by, feeling that they had to admire it and give this place a look. The natives didn't hesitate to introduce this place, and there were a few stores, who for the sake of selling spiritual medicines, weapons, and other things were even more enthusiastically explaining. There were many stores around the scorched black stone mountain. This place was incredibly lively, people coming and going, shoulders brushing against each other. There were just too many creatures. Shahao and Hualinga ascended the mountain. People around them all displayed envious expression, but at the same time carrying reverence. This broken mountain was entirely scorched black. Even though it was already damaged, it was still majestic, several thousand zhong tall. There was a small path that led directly to the top of this mountain. This was a wondrous place. Even though the mountain body was damaged, there were strange natural laws that prevented flight, only allowing for normal walking. Moreover, those whose cultivation levels didn't reach the true deity realm couldn't even walk through this place, unable to go up. It was rumored that this mountain deity used to be extremely powerful, touching upon the highest realm. While prying into the mysteries of the world, it unexpectedly incurred the wrath of heaven. However, its damaged body was still unordinary. There were wisps of immortal energy moving about. Walking on the mountain was extremely beneficial to cultivators, but it wasn't something a normal person could climb. This place isn't bad. Shahao nodded. He felt as if the 3 strands of immortal energy within him truly were resonating a bit with this place. There were a small wine shop and a tea house above the mountain, both of them outdoors. There were also a few praying mats that experts sat on top of. Apart from this, there were a few nice buildings, but there weren't many. They were suspended in the void, appearing splendid and magnificent, as if they didn't belong to the mortal world, carrying clouds and mist. There were many people here, none of them weak, because those who weren't true deities couldn't ascend this mountain. It was clear that quite a few people had gathered here. From just a glance, Shahao saw a few exceptional talents, all of them experts. After him and Hualinga came up, they didn't walk towards the crowd, instead finding a small wine shop by the edge of this place, sitting down and listening in on the discussions. Many people were talking about the foreign guests, because until now, not a single one of them were defeated, while the 3,000 provinces cultivators couldn't even raise their heads. To be more precise, it was a single person from the foreign guests who took action, while who knows how many experts of my 3,000 provinces were defeated. It truly is humiliating. Someone said with a sigh. A single person crushed the cultivators all over the 3,000 provinces, no one able to match them. This really was quite frightening. What do you all think? How are the 9 heavens 10 earths divided? Could it be that the so-called 10 earths are truly that inferior to the 9 heavens? Otherwise, how could any random person they sent out easily dominate the 3,000 provinces? That person should be a rarely seen young expert from beyond this land, and it's not like there's no one in our 3,000 provinces who can't defeat him, just that they haven't taken action yet. For example, the exiled immortal, Huang, 10-crown king, Ning Chuan, which one of them are ordinary? They are all ridiculously powerful. Wu, speaking of Huang, he really is quite something, stirring up such chaos in Celestial Clan, tormenting their Tao protector to death, truly shocking. A few people were discussing this, speaking about recent matters. As for further away, there were even more people. They were divided into several regions. It was clear that on the bejeweled buildings above, those people were even more powerful, every single one of them with unordinary statuses. Fairy Xiao Yu, I heard that your battle accomplishments in Immortal Ancient Remains are brilliant, enough to rank near the front, almost obtaining a jade book. A young man spoke. On the bejeweled building above, a white-clothed woman was seated on the praying mat, quiet and calm as she said, still failed at the final step. Quite a few people were shocked. This was definitely a powerful individual. It was rumored that only the first few dozen people had the luck of encountering a jade book, yet in the end, only around 10 people obtained them. Shahao looked towards the bejeweled building above. That woman looked a bit familiar, as if he had met her before in Immortal Ancient, but she should be around the 100th individual to rush into that place of natural luck. Fairy Xiao Yu truly is exceptional, traveling unhindered through Immortal Ancient, undefeated the entire path, daring to compete against those kings. Someone spoke in praise. Brother Lee is cracking jokes. There were some who rushed into that place of natural luck before me, yet they all narrowly missed out. Fairy Xiao Yu said. On the mountain, many people had looks of admiration. The individuals in the bejeweled building above were all powerful as expected, exceeding their expectations. Do you recognize them? Hualinga said softly, asking Shahao at her side. I don't. Shahao shook his head. On the side, a few people heard their conversation. One of them couldn't help but sneer, saying, not everyone can recognize those heavenly talents. Hualinga curled her lips. Someone said this straight to her, ignoring Shahao, so she naturally wasn't pleased. However, she didn't say much either. Yi, which sex disciple is this fairy from? It was clear that this person didn't expect Hualinga to be this beautiful and outstanding. When he looked over, his eyes immediately lit up. We are just small cultivators, you wouldn't know of it even if we told it. Hualinga curled her lips. There were also female cultivators there. When they saw how fine Hualinga was, her figure wonderful, they all revealed hostility. A woman muttered with a soft voice, seems like you understand yourself well. Hualinga didn't want to provoke matters, so she ignored this. However, Shahao didn't feel much misgivings. He was unstoppable in Immortal Ancient a month or two ago, not even hesitating to kill heavenly deities, let alone others. Is it bad to not recognize those people? Only by recognizing those geniuses can one be considered extraordinary. Shahao said with a cold laugh. Normal people truly don't have the qualifications to recognize those above. They are all well-known figures that slaughtered out a brilliant reputation in Immortal Ancient. Someone mocked. We also entered Immortal Ancient, but could only watch those people from afar. Fairy Xiao Yu and the others are just too powerful, those with weaker strength can't get close at all, no way of watching their battles. Someone else said. When Shahao heard this, he sneered, saying, you all even entered Immortal Ancient. My apologies for not recognizing. Then that means the two of you hadn't even entered Immortal Ancient. Someone asked, expression unkind. Could it be that you all didn't know that the gathering this time consists purely of experts who entered Immortal Ancient? This fairy looks quite unordinary, she can stay. Someone like you with such impetuous speech, it's best if you head down the mountain. One of them shot out a look of disdain, saying this to Shahao. When Shahao heard this, he immediately laughed, shook his head, and then sipped at his cup of tea. "You still aren't going down the mountain?" someone berated. It was clear that the disturbance here drew the attention of others. Even the people in the bejeweled building above looked down. "You are," Fairy Xiao Yu cried out in alarm, widening her beautiful pupils, immediately standing up, staring blankly at Shahao. Soon after, the others in the bejeweled building also noticed the situation, and then a few others were shocked, all of them getting up. "Huang! He actually came." The most powerful people in the bejeweled building above were all stupefied, and then they cupped their fists towards Shahao with respect and courtesy. Who was this person? The people below were all shocked. Fairy Xiao Yu and the others came down from the bejeweled building, every single one of them carrying expressions of shock, greeting Shahao. They were truly too shocked, actually meeting Huang here. "Brother She and I have met. You all are too polite." Shahao replied. "What? He is Huang. The one who came first in immortal ancient, domineering might unmatched Huang." The others were all shocked. The ones that were previously ridiculing Shahao in particular went pale. The reason why this male and female pair didn't recognize those here was because they were too powerful. Not everyone could recognize Huang. When they were an immortal ancient, not everyone had the qualifications to witness him fighting, only some fortunate enough to. This person is precisely Huang, the one who was unmatched in immortal ancient. Not long ago, he had even tormented Celestial Clan's Dao Protector to death. This place couldn't calm down, erupting with commotion. Fairy Xiao Yu and the others all rushed over, full of courtesy towards Shahao. They raised their wine glasses and proposed a toast, stirring up quite the activity. Shahao didn't make things difficult for them either, smiling as he touched glasses. There were some who were indeed quite strong, ranking close to the 100 in the front. "Everyone, I wish to understand a bit about the foreign guests, how strong they are." Finally, Shahao asked like this. "Brother She, they are all extremely powerful, just a single person taking action, the others not attacking, yet they suppressed our higher realms experts, until we couldn't raise our heads." Someone said. "Brother She, they specially named you out to fight." Fairy Xiao Yu said. "What is with this, random people even wishing to fight against me?" Shahao said. This place immediately became quiet, everyone becoming speechless, mouths open. This was just too valiant, not even putting those powerful foreign guests in his eyes. Perhaps only Huang dared to speak like this, right? Who else dared to do such a thing? "Brother She, those people might come here today." Fairy Xiao Yu said. They held this gathering today, so after the news traveled out, it might draw those people over. It was because whenever there were distinguished meetings, if the foreign guests weren't too far, they would definitely participate. Now, they heard that those people were precisely in this province. "Is that so?" Shahao nodded. Suddenly, auspicious multicolored light shone from the distance, the sky torn apart, directly rushing towards Green City. Could it be, those people really were coming? Everyone was startled, rising to their feet and looking into the horizon. An expanse of auspicious multicolored light scattered down, as if thousands of rainbows moved through the skies. A war chariot released shocking radiance, carrying dark light as it rushed over. In the places it rushed past, the void split, smoke and clouds pervading the air, flowing multicolored light exploding, the scene shocking and astonishing. Everyone was shocked. This war chariot was formidable, speed too fast, tearing open the void just by moving normally. One could see how powerful it was. In that instant, it arrived. This was a war chariot formed from 5-colored divine copper, clearly a rare secret treasure. Normal people couldn't refine it at all. It was too fast, rushing into Green City and arriving on top of the broken mountain. In the surroundings, the void split apart. Large black cracks appeared one after another, the scene terrifying. This type of power was too great, as if an extremely great figure had descended, making many geniuses tremble inwardly. Even Fairy Xiao Yu's expression changed greatly. The only thing was that this black broken mountain affected space, interfering with flying matter. When the five-colored divine copper war chariot rushed over, it swayed, brilliant light erupting. However, this chariot really was extraordinary. After being affected, it quickly descended, landing with a peng sound. Nothing unexpected happened, only making the earth and stone here fly about, smoke and dust rising into the air. This was a powerful and astonishing war chariot. On it engraved a diagram of gods and devils, suns and moons devoured, hands grabbing at the stars, as well as images of 10,000 beasts worshipping an altar, flying birds making a pilgrimage. It was clear and easy to see that this war chariot was formidable. There weren't any vicious beasts pulling on the vehicle, but despite this being the case, it still looked powerful and imposing. It could move by borrowing symbols, similarly possessing extreme speed. Everyone stared at this, wishing to see what kind of great figure it was exactly who arrived. However, they were all extremely nervous, because the people coming were definitely powerful. A rough sound could be heard from within the chariot, cryptic and difficult to understand. In that instant, many people unexpectedly didn't understand what was said. What does it mean? What kind of language is this? Many people revealed looks of shock, in deep confusion. Truly is the foreign guests, this is the language they use. Fairy Xiao Yu's expression changed greatly. She clearly learned about quite a few things during these days. The expressions of the other experts also became serious. Sure enough, their gathering attracted these mysterious experts. The foreign experts truly descended. It was because they had long heard that whenever a province held a distinguished meeting, they would definitely pay a visit to see if there were any true experts. In reality, however, the young heroes of all different provinces suffered crushing defeats in these past few days, being humiliated. No one could withstand the foreign guests' might. The best battle accomplishment was nothing more than 10 moves. It could be said that during this month or two, the higher realms experts lost much of their face, this kind of defeat making all sects lose face. A voice sounded again from the vehicle, the people here still unable to understand what they were saying. This was a type of ancient language that needed to be carefully thought about to understand, similar to the archaic language. Heng, the 3,000 Dao provinces really have declined, even forgetting the mother tongue of the past. Finally, words that everyone could understand sounded from the war chariot, carrying dissatisfaction, arrogance, and a type of contempt. Seniors, what type of instructions do you all have? Someone responded, extremely cautious as he stood in front of the war chariot, treading carefully. I'm not that old. This type of voice sounded from the war chariot. A cold snort sounded, a bit impatient. Then, he spoke again, saying, this is Green Province's distinguished meeting. It doesn't seem like all that either, not having any experts to speak of at all. This place immediately became quiet. The one who came was extremely arrogant, not attaching much importance to the people here, not even getting off the vehicle. No one said anything, quietly waiting to see what exactly he was going to do. Many people already got up, but Shahao didn't pay this any attention, still sitting there, enjoying the fine wine together with Hualinga. She helped him pour wine, and sipped on some herself. As for Little Wolf, it directly carried a small wine jug, trying its best to display a quiet and calm appearance as it drank. Too lacking. You all wish to enter the Heavenly Deity institution even with this type of aptitude. No chance at all. That hoarse voice sounded from the war chariot. That person seemed to be shaking his head. The group of people revealed ugly expressions. Being evaluated like this, anyone would start to feel discontent. Part 1 end here.